Marijuana is legal in many states and countries, so marijuana couldn't be dangerous, right? Welcome. My name is David Jolly, and by the way, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, I would really appreciate it if you clicked on the subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Thanks. Well, marijuana has been legalized and decriminalized for recreational use in many states and countries, and more accepted by the general population. Marijuana is even more accepted for medicinal purposes and has a very long history of being used as medicine. But is it safe? Well, the answer is by and large, yes. It's far less dangerous than almost any drug, including alcohol, and there have been no reported deaths coming directly from cannabis consumption. But it is still a drug and therefore comes with real risks that can impact a person's health and life. Marijuana can be addictive. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, approximately 1 in 10 people who use marijuana will become addicted. For those experimenting with marijuana prior to the age of 18, the rate of addiction rises to 1 in 6. No one has ever died directly from using marijuana. Fact. Marijuana use can affect the parts of the brain responsible for memory, learning, attention, decision-making, coordination, emotions, and reaction time. Research has also revealed that marijuana can affect brain development. Developing brains in babies, children, and teenagers are especially susceptible to the negative impact of cannabis. Marijuana use can make the heart beat faster and make blood pressure higher immediately after use. In turn, such effects can lead to an increased risk of stroke, heart disease, and other vascular diseases. Now, saying this, the CDC covers themselves by adding that more research is needed to understand the full impact of marijuana use on the cardiovascular system to determine if marijuana use leads to higher risk of death. Smoked marijuana, regardless of how it's smoked, can harm lung tissues and eventually cause scarring and damage to small blood vessels. Smoke from marijuana has many of the same toxins, irritants, and carcinogens as regular tobacco smoke and can lead to similar symptoms as smoking, although generally not as severe due to the generally lower frequency of use. The good news is that quitting cannabis smoking will likely reduce any chronic lung problems. Some studies link marijuana use to depression, anxiety, suicide planning, and psychotic episodes. Our federal government, and remember, cannabis is still illegal federally, believe that people who use marijuana are more likely to develop temporary psychosis and long-lasting mental disorders, including schizophrenia. I'm skeptical of these suggestions as there does not appear to be evidence that points marijuana as being the cause of these conditions. I don't think research makes clear if heavy marijuana use causes mental health problems or makes existing conditions worse. While there is no evidence that marijuana can treat cancer, it has proven very beneficial for relieving some of the side effects of cancer treatment. But can marijuana cause cancer? Well, when marijuana is smoked, it can deliver harmful substances, including many of the same toxins and carcinogens found in tobacco smoke. If you look on the CDC website, they repeatedly use the commentary that, quote, more research is needed. But in a research paper from 2017 entitled The Health Effects of Cannabis and Cannabinoids, the paper concluded that there is evidence that suggests smoking cannabis does not increase the risk for certain cancers like lung, head, and neck cancers in adults. There is modest evidence that cannabis use is associated with one subtype of testicular cancer, and there is minimal evidence that parental cannabis use during pregnancy is associated with greater cancer risk in offspring. Research has demonstrated that marijuana affects timing, movement, and coordination, which of course can harm athletic performance. Yep, no Sherlock. Naturally, the effect is temporary and only during consumption and while the THC is in the body. One thing we do know is that marijuana does not enhance athletic performance. Right, Sha'Carri Richardson? Driving under the influence of marijuana is a thing and is a per se crime in many states. Someone wrote a great book about this way back in 2014. According to the government, those who drive under the influence of cannabis may experience slower reactions, lane weaving, decreased coordination, and difficulty reacting to signals and sounds on the road. There are also roadside coordination tests used to determine if an individual may be under the influence of marijuana. Unfortunately, these field sobriety tests originated as alcohol tests, and the research is almost entirely limited to alcohol effects, not marijuana effects. Interestingly, the government has carefully grafted these alcohol tests into marijuana sobriety tests with no real research to prove their validity. The government does some very crafty things. Marijuana use during pregnancy may cause fetal growth restriction, premature birth, stillbirth, and problems with brain development of the baby, not the mother, resulting in the possibility of hyperactivity and poor cognitive function. If cannabis is consumed following the birth, the THC can be passed from a mother to her baby through breast milk, further impacting a child's healthy development. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services warns that research shows that people who use significant marijuana are more likely to have relationship problems, worse educational outcomes, lower career achievement, and reduced life satisfaction. Tell Elon Musk that. The question of whether marijuana is a gateway drug has been debated for decades, and researchers disagree on the answer to this question. And by gateway drug, of course, we mean, does marijuana use lead a person to use other more dangerous drugs like cocaine or heroin? Well, for example, one research paper entitled Probability and Predictors of the Cannabis Gateway Effect concludes that a large proportion of individuals who use cannabis go on to use other illegal drugs. But at the same time, their conclusion indicates those at greater risk are lifetime cannabis users and those with mental disorders, not the occasional user. In summarizing and certainly generalizing research, it would be fair to say that for some heavy users, marijuana use can lead to experimenting and using other drugs. But for most people, marijuana is not a gateway drug. Marijuana acceptance is increasing incrementally, and the legalization of the weed continues to grow. But like anything, it's important to understand the real risks when contemplating the use of any drug. For more information on cannabis and criminal law, please subscribe to this channel.